Hey, I've seen him on the ground with Arlovsky, and that wasn't in the UFC, and that was and they screwed him with that, man, because they kept standing him up, and I was so pissed watching that fight. It was a while ago. You know what I'm talking about, Roy. You got fucked in that fight because you kept taking him down. I think they stopped you when you were looking for a Kimura, which I'm a huge fan of. I know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, no. The thing is, even my last fight. Well, even my last fight, I even had a long talk with John McCarthy in the back and talk about, hey, don't break us up when like I'm working, blah blah blah. And he's like, as long as you're doing damage, blah blah blah. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then when I had him up against the fence, I'm sitting there punching him in his legs, in his thigh, giving him a good old frog and stuff like that. And then me and John McCarthy are having a conversation of going. He's like, you got to move. And I'm like, I'm doing damage. I'm sitting there having a conversation with him, and I'm like, dude, you're such a retard. And then I hate the third guy in there. Like, just stop the illegal stuff. Don't let him get me poked in the eye and hit me in my balls. I don't really care.
You think
that,
sometimes they step in too soon and interfere with a strategy when you really are working? It just, it's a slow positioning thing, and you think they jump in sometimes way too fast.
I don't even think they jump in. I just think they just don't know what the fuck's going on.
Well, you know what it is too, though, Jimmy, is like, especially if you're trying to be a little strategic. I mean, everybody wants action. I know that,
right.
But I know Roy's pain where sometimes you'll get a fight down, and the guy in the bottom hears it, so he knows that if you're just like, if the refs go, oh, you got to do something, that guy's not going to try to get out. That guy's going to clamp down even more. Just wait for that stand-up.
Ah.
And now Roy could be distributing his weight the right way, looking to set up either a pass or make the guy move a certain way to attach onto a limb and take a Kimura or whatnot. But he doesn't have that luxury of setting anything up because it's like in jiu-jitsu's chess and on the floor in mixed martial arts, especially it's in the UFC, it's speed chess sometimes. It's like you got to go. All right, you hit the clock now. You hit the. It's one of those things where you don't get as much time to set it up, and it's very frustrating. I mean, as long as the guy's not stalling from inside a guard like Ken Shamrock versus Hoist Gracie number 2 back in the day, then they should allow them to take their time and work. I mean, the fans, if they don't get it, they will get it eventually. You know what I mean? But it takes away from who the better fighter is.
That's right.
Right, Roy?
No, because like in our conversation, John goes, if you're in guard and you go, body head, that the standard punch kit, the body head. He's like, I'm going to stand you up, and he goes, but if you're the guy on the bottom and you're just holding, I'm not going to stand you up just to relieve the, to basically, award you. And I'm like, okay, what if I'm in guard and I'm going body head, but the guy's holding me, just doing nothing? So who gets up? Who are you going to reward?
Ooh.
And then I was dumbfounded, and he didn't say anything, and he told me to shut up.
Dang.
Do you think there's a problem? Because Rogan has at times said that the refereeing, or Dana certainly has been vocal at times about the ref. Do you think there's a problem with in general with it, or is it just in rare instances?
I think there's definitely a problem. I think the rules should be pretty simple. Just stay the hell out of it. It's a fight. And if the guy can't get off his back, then he sucks. Then he shouldn't be in MMA. He should be in boxing.
Man, there you go. Hey, man, I agree. Otherwise, these guys, they go off standing up. They get takedown. All right, I just got to stall a little bit. They're going to put me back upstairs. You know what I mean? I used to have a guy I sparred with, and he was good standing up, but he sucked on the floor. So he'd go off on me, and it was mixed martial arts sparring. So I'd take him down. He'd let me just tap him. We'd stand up again. He'd just go off on me again. So I'm like, you prick. Like, so it's kind of like the same thing, except for the tap. If they get used to just stalling down there, I mean, fuck.
Well, do you think sometimes they'll do that because they're overly concerned where they shouldn't be concerned about fan reaction and whether the fans are enjoying it instead of, like you said, looking for who's the better fighter? Do you think that they're allowing, in a way, the fans to dictate what they're doing?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think if they want to fix that, all they got to do is just go to a 3-minute round, so like kind of like a boxing, and just make more rounds out of it. And then if the guy just gets to the 10th floor and he can't get back up, they just let it, puddle out for three minutes.
What do you think?
And then I'm not going to resets every 2 minutes or every minute after that.
Roy, what do you think of the new rules that are going to be coming into place with judging rounds as far as the amount of damage and the amount of dominance and some of the new stuff? Do you think it's good?
If they know how to follow it. I mean, because if that's the case, because if they go effective striking and damage, then I'm not going to lose a fight.
Oh, like
yeah.
that. right?
No,
I'd be like, that didn't hurt me, so I'm good.
Have you always? It sounds like a stupid question, but I'm amazed at the punches I've seen you take. I was amazed sitting ringside watching Derek Lewis, who, like, to you that's an average puncher, but he hits hard. And to watch you taking those punches, I mean, has that always been a strong suit of yours your whole life, or is that something you realized later when you started standing up more?
No, like I think the only punch that that Derek actually hit clean was the very last 10 seconds, but I actually hit him first, so. It was one of those, like, I karate chopped him in the back of the neck, and then I took a straight or a wild right to the, and then I just kept on punching. I mean, that's just how it is. You're kind of going for it.
It's funny because sometimes it looks like the guy Jimmy is taking so much abuse with these punches. I mean, I remember hearing an interview with Ray LaMotta. Jake LaMotta, I'm sorry.
Sure.
What the hell is that? With Jake LaMotta, and they were talking about his fights with Sugar Ray Robinson. And they're like, man, how did you take that punishment up against the ropes? And how did you take those beatings and those punches? And he would say, look, you know, yeah, sure, he'd get hit. But it's not like you're just standing there. If you roll with it, you're taking this much power away from that shot. Like this, so it's like, instead of getting hit with 100% of it, you're getting hit with like 40% of it. You know what I mean? Because he's like rolling slightly with it. And so, I mean, even with Roy, I mean, it looks, oh man, that guy's taking a beating, but is he rolling with it slightly? Is it landing is everything landing clean? And he's just got that iron granite chin, which he does have.
Yeah.
But it's more of, I mean, he's doing more to deflect it than even meets the eye. Is that true, Roy, that you're rolling with him? And yeah, a lot of them aren't getting flush where people think, man, this guy's just has he's just unstoppable with his chin. Or is it more you're taking some away by rolling with it and whatnot?
Yeah, no, I'd like to think I don't really get hit that much, but it definitely looks like it. But if, everybody thinks, I have an iron chin and I'm a superhuman, then cool.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Let them keep thinking that.
Well, both things can be right. You can be rolling with them and not getting hit as much, but I've seen you take some punches. And I'm like, I can't believe he is still standing up. And everyone I've ever talked to about MMA, you definitely have the hardest, the most solid chin in the entire sport.
Well, thank you.
He's like, well, thank you. And now he's blushing. He's blushing. He's in Brazil blushing on the phone. No, but also, I'll tell you whose chin is, taking a beating lately, and that's Antonio Bigfoot Silva. I mean, he's been stopped, a few times as of lately.
4 to 5, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's got to be something to be, I'm sure you're considering that, and that's something in your favor for sure, especially with somebody with the power that you possess, So I don't know. I mean, sure. I mean, the other guy could dish it out too, but if it comes down to a battle of you take my punch, I take yours, it's looking good for you, Roy.
No, I always like that type of firefight all day long. Yeah. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
But we're in Brazil, so I might have to do some takedowns, submissions. I got to get the stats up. Yeah.
Listen, you are in Brazil, man. So that is. I'll tell you. Have you fought? I several times fought in people's hometowns. I fought my last fight with Chris Lytle in Indiana. I fought George St. Pierre in the rematch in Montreal. So I know what it's like to be booed and hated and having chants of "F you" and whatnot. So have you done that before? Have you been the villain? Have you been fighting guys in their home country or hometown or?
You know what? I have, but the thing is like fighting here in Brazil, I think I'll probably have a home field advantage just because, from what I've talked to from the PR team here, is just, I'm the number one requested athlete, but,
wow,
out here, and this is the first time, being here. So I doubt I'll have the boos and stuff or the chanting and killing of Americans,
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
He is beloved, though. People love Roy Nelson.
Absolutely.
I do. I do, Jimmy.
I know you do.
Jimmy's looking at me like I'm telling him a fib. I'm telling you, I do.
I don't know, Roy. I met Roy briefly. You were walking at 200. You were walking behind me, going to your seat. And I told you that you got robbed, and you said thank you.
Oh, there you go. That was the start. That was the start.
That was our interaction.
You thought you were some crazed fan, which you are.
Yeah.